Okay, heading out to cut down a couple of trees today, so we thought we'd do a video on tips and tricks for cutting down trees. Okay, this is that big cottonwood that looks pretty dead, so we're going to tackle that one first. And it's kind of near the edge, so it's a good place just to fall and not have to haul it off anywhere.
So one of the things you definitely want to take a look at is what is the surrounding area right around the tree immediately. If you look, this tree's got a lot of broken branches, uneven ground, and what you want to be able to do is have a good safe work area. So you want to make sure that all that stuff is cleared out in case something goes wrong and that tree starts to fall the wrong way. Or like in this particular case, this tree is a dead tree but has some additional new growth into it. So the reason I'm cutting it down is that the main trunk of the tree is probably going to rot out. So if it's a rotted tree, you don't know exactly where it's going to fall, because it could start to split, it could do all sorts of funky things. So having a good safe work area, giving yourself a space to run if something does go wrong, super important. So the first thing I'm going to do is clear out the area around the tree. And then I'm going to get a really good idea of how that tree is actually leaning. The good thing is that the tree itself doesn't have a whole lot of branches, so it should fall directly that way because it's the primary lean of the tree. First thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and clear out the area around the tree, and then I'm going to get another assessment of which way the tree is actually leaning and then go from there. So when walking around the tree, one of the things that I found is that if you have a pretty large branch that's actually just hanging off of the smaller branches, you definitely don't want that hanging there, because if you happen to be working over here and making your first cut, that thing falls down, not going to kill you, but sure not going to feel good either. And if it was up a lot higher, it would definitely really hurt. So you want to make sure that you're assessing the tree on the way up, and you don't have anything like that just hanging off the edge of the tree. So what I'm using are, these are steel gloves. I like them. They actually have a more of a plastic or rubber coating on the areas that you're using more heavily. So it should last a lot longer, and they're padded around the knuckles. So if you happen to smack your hand into a tree or whatever, it doesn't hurt quite so bad. Helmet, another kind of key thing. If you do happen to have something that falls out of the tree and hits you in the head, at least you're not going to end up with a laceration or as bad of a concussion. Chops, super important. The likelihood of getting your leg cut versus a head injury or arm is about 80% higher with your legs. So the chops are definitely something that are really important. You want to get something that's more of a padded, so then that way the padding actually gets caught into the chain instead of it actually cutting into your leg. And then finally, wedges, so then that way you can get the tree to start leaning in the right direction. And then two, if your tree does happen to start sitting back on your wedges, at least you can kind of feel it as you go, and you can pull your saw out and just reassess the tree. So key pieces of equipment I like using. Obviously the face shield is good for making sure you don't get something in your eye, and then your hearing protection as well. As you're cutting the tree, it's really important to look up and make sure that something's not falling out of the tree and that the tree is actually moving in the right direction, or not moving at all, more importantly. And then so you want to flip your face mask up so you can actually see, and then we start cutting again, flip it back down.
So what about the chainsaw? That'd be helpful.
Okay. Chainsaw is the MS362C. This has electronic carburation adjustments on it. It's supposed to make 1,000 adjustments per minute or second on this. The one thing I have found on this particular saw, this has got a 25-inch bar, is that it likes to get warmed up. If you try running it right away, a lot of times it stalls. And the more I've been using this, the better it actually has been running. Two, what's actually nice about these saws is that they have lines on it. Those lines are designed for you to actually be able to see the plane that you're cutting on. So then that way you're actually following the lines that you want, and you're not cutting at an angle, or you can get a good estimation of where your cut's going to go, so that way you can see where your tree is going to fall. So I'm going to start with my back cut first, obviously. My back cuts, I don't like to go anything further than like a quarter of the way through the tree. And then when I make my final cut, I try to make that about a 1/2 inch, you know, so the holding wood is actually nice and strong. And then that way, you know, you're going to get a better direction on which way it's going to fall. So I'm going to start off with that and then go from there. So that's my back cut, or I'm sorry, that's my wedge cut right there. One of the things that you want to do, and I need to clean this up a little bit better, is make sure that your cut's nice and clean, and that when your tree falls, it's not going to actually get caught on any of this extra pieces of wood in here. So I'm going to make one more cut, clean that up, and make sure that when the tree falls, it doesn't do anything funky and bounce in a weird direction because there's extra pieces of wood in there. And then what I'm going to do is come over to this side, make a flat line cut, so then that way I have a point of reference on the back side of the tree where I should actually be cutting. At this point, once you get a little bit of depth in your cut, that's where you want to go ahead and make your, you know, basically where you want to put your first wedge in to make sure that it's going to fall in the right direction. So you just palm it in there. Make sure you have enough space in between your wedge and your blade so you don't start cutting on your wedge.